here. All right, how's that looking?
You look great. Of course, I'm muted and I wasn't fast enough.
Can,
I can
can you
see
see
the
my
space.
presentation?
Your
Uh,
presentation is beautiful. Thank you.
okay, excellent. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I'm excited to be here with this presentation today. I gave this presentation a couple of years ago, and I'm excited to be able to dust this off and give it out again. It has really helped me build lasting habits, and I'll share a little bit about that with you later on in the presentation. So I hope that this is something that you get a lot out of as well. So our, there we go. Our warm-up question for today is, what is your success rate at keeping New Year's resolutions? Or do you even set them? Go ahead and pop that in the chat. Low success, don't even set them, not set any. A lot of don't sets, close to 100%. That's good. Depends. My goals fluctuate. Don't set them since they never seem to stick. All right. Yep. Stop setting them. Okay. All right. So, kind of what I expected. A lot of us, have set New Year's resolutions in the past and then they haven't stuck. And so we've kind of shifted and adjusted and maybe like some of these comments, do some reflections, set some themes, maybe, some intentions around meeting up with people that we enjoy more often and things like that. So I'm excited because I'm hoping that this presentation today will help you with your goal setting, whether that's personal or professional. So most of today's content is taken from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. So this book has revolutionized how I think about strategic planning, goal setting, change management, all of it. And I highly encourage you to read it for yourselves and absorb the content directly from the author. But if this is not your life right now, you don't have an opportunity to get through a nonfiction book, I got you. I got you. I know what that's like. I've been in that place before too. So I just want to also let you know that there are a lot of podcasts out there where James Clear discusses his book. And if you just put his name into your podcast search, a lot of those podcasts come up. And I'm going to let you know that I first stumbled upon James Clear and his work through a series of 2 podcasts that Brene Brown gave. So those 2 podcasts are on Brené's website, and you can go and access them there as well. Additionally, he's on social media and puts forth a lot of great content and thought-provoking questions there as well. So there are more bite-sized ways to engage with him if that works better for you. So this presentation provides tools that I hope you will get a lot out of, both personally and professionally. This quote from James Clear nicely sums up the juxtaposition between the desire for transformation and the work needed to achieve it. We need to keep our daily mindset big and think about how we can play a bigger game, but keep our daily actions small and strive to get 1% better every day. It's hard to keep focused on the bigger picture when we are constantly surrounded by immediate fires. It's especially hard to think about the big picture daily. Whether professionally or personally, we can do a better job of connecting the daily work that we do to our goals and the bigger picture. Our larger goals and visions should be something we think about every day, not just once a quarter or once a year. Additionally, it's also really hard to take actions small enough that we can sustain them. We want to see progress fast, so we tend to make large changes. But in the end, we're not able to sustain those changes over time, and our progress gets derailed by those immediate fires and new stresses that come up. So today we're going to help you create a sustainable plan to achieve a goal that you have. So let's start with planning big. Having clarity of purpose and vision is the first step in goal setting. Let's look at these following vision statements and try to guess which company they come from. This vision statement is: imagine a world in which every single person is given free access to the sum of all human knowledge. Go ahead and put in the chat your guesses on which company's vision this is. I'm seeing a lot of Wikipedia, Google, Khan Academy, Google, Wikipedia, Apple. Wikipedia is the answer. So yes, this is Wikipedia's vision statement. Let's do another one. This vision statement is to create a better everyday life for many people. Whose vision statement do you think this is? I'm seeing Amazon, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Amazon. The answer to this one is IKEA. This is IKEA's vision statement. All right, last one. Bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. Who do you think this vision statement is? Nike. Everybody's got it. Nike. Good job. Good job. So you can see in these vision statements that these companies have a true vision. They don't talk about what the company does. They talk about a future state they want to see. They embody the keeping the mindset big and thinking about how they can play a bigger game. So now we're going to do some action planning and vision goal setting for you. Using your handout, and I believe that handout was popped into the chat, so go ahead and pull that up on a second screen. Hopefully you use a second screen, pull that handout up, get that ready to go. And we're going to work through questions and create a one-sentence vision for either yourself personally or professionally. We will allow just a couple of minutes for this exercise, so you will need to work fast, but this doesn't have to be perfect. You will follow these 4 steps. You're going to define a goal that you have. You're going to define what the future state looks like. You're going to note what inspires and energizes you about that future state. And then you're going to create the vision statement. It doesn't have to be perfect. So as we work through our action plan, I will also be giving you an example of an action plan I've created. So this is my action plan for both a personal and professional goal. So for a goal that I had for myself personally, I want to be healthy. Professionally, all communications from myself, my team, my office, depends on what level you're at and what level of communications you get to impact, will be timely and transparent. Communication's hard, and we don't do it well enough. And that's often because just time and not taking the time to do it. So I want to make sure it's done. Now, define what the future looks like. For personal, I'm active, I'm living without pain, and nothing holds me back, and I can go and do what I want to do. Professionally, staff are happy and informed and understand clearly what they should be doing and why. I really feel like if staff have all the communication they want or need, they're going to be happier and they're going to be more productive. So what inspires me? I love to travel, and I'm inspired and energized by the opportunity to travel in retirement. So I want to make sure I'm healthy and active so I can do that. And professionally, I know when staff understand the reasons behind changes, they're more likely to adopt the change faster and with greater proficiency, increasing performance outcomes. So I created a vision goal statement. So personally, my goal statement is I'm healthy and active at the age of 80. And professionally is our ESS scores for the question, senior leadership does a good job of communicating the reasons behind important changes that are made, is at 90%. Right now, the statewide average is 48%, so this is a big goal. So please take some time yourself. I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes. Work through these questions on your worksheet and come up with a one-sentence vision statement, either personally or professionally for yourself. Right. If you need more time, go ahead and throw up a reaction or put an emoji in the chat. Okay, we'll give it one more minute. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on because we got a lot of presentation left. Feel free to continue to kind of work on this as we go forward. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. All right. So, is anyone willing to share their vision statement that they created? If so, go ahead and pop that in the chat. Would love to hear yours. I will lose 25 pounds by April 30th and be a size 10, which will lead to a healthier lifestyle and longer life. Great goal. Anybody else? I will be able to walk multiple miles. Great. Our bathroom will be finished and we will be able to move in. Yes, been through a major construction. I understand that. To ensure our organization has access to continuous improvement coaching every day. I love that professional goal. Thank you for putting that in there. We simplified the process of receiving unemployment benefits for everyone who is eligible. Great. We submit 100% of customer suggestions to appropriate teams, and at least 50% are seriously considered. These are wonderful. For those of you who have a professional goal, thank you for putting that in there to to give us a sense of what that could look like. And I also want to say that this action planning, if you're doing this with a team of people, I think would work well. So feel free to take this to a team and work on it as a team as well. All right. Thank you for your willingness to share. So now, fast forward 6 months and assume you have started working on your goal. So, I'm sorry, I'm going to start over with that. Now assume you've started working on your goal today. Fast forward 6 months and assume you have failed to make progress towards it. Why did you fail? Go ahead and put that in the chat. Why might you have failed in achieving your goal? Inconsistency. Thank you. You may haven't made a daily action plan. It's hard to prioritize something that feels so out of reach. Other priorities came along and derailed it. Limited opportunities, lack of follow through, roadblocks. Yes. All right. Thank you so much. These are all the real reasons that get in our way. And your lack of progress can be summed up by a lack of building the small daily habits needed to achieve your vision. And today we're going to learn a series of steps that's going to help you stay on track. So as we look forward to planning your strategy, I want to caution you not to let your previous choices set your future ceiling. The strategies that made you successful in the past will at some point reach their limit. The willingness to try new ideas allows you to keep advancing. If you want to find a better path, you have to be willing to explore a different path. With that, I hope that you're willing to give this a try. So planning for success is done in 2 overarching steps. The first step, and often overlooked, is creating the identity of the future you that is needed to achieve your vision. Having a mismatch between your identity and the future state you are trying to achieve can be summed up in Peter Drucker's famous quote, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." Culture and identity are the same. We tend to use the word culture when referring to a group of people. Culture is simply a group of individual identities. Identity change for individuals and culture change for groups is an essential component to change. If you do not see yourself as someone who has achieved your goal, then no amount of strategy is going to be successful. The second step is accumulating small wins. This is done through building good habits and maintaining consistency of actions. These small wins can be summed up with the phrase, "slow and steady wins the race." Both of these steps are based in neuroscience, and there are several hacks that can help us combat a host of goal sabotages. I love neuroscience. I love hacks. So this is why this really spoke to me. So first, we're going to focus on identity. Let's take the example of 2 people who have a goal to quit smoking. The first person is asked if they want a cigarette, and they say, "No, thanks, I'm trying to quit." The second person is asked if they want a cigarette, and they say, "No, thanks, I don't smoke." Do you notice the difference in these 2 approaches? For the person who is trying to quit, they might always be in that state of trying to achieve, but never fully achieving their goal. The second person who has adopted the identity of a non-smoker has much greater chance of continuing to take actions that affirm their new identity. It's a small step to take to create your future identity, but it's a really powerful one. True behavior change is identity change. You might take actions because of motivation, but the only reason you'll continue to take those actions is when they become part of your identity. Anyone can convince themselves to visit the gym or eat healthy once or twice, but if you don't shift the belief behind the behavior, then it's hard to stick with long-term changes. Improvements are only temporary until they become part of who you are. So go ahead and throw up a reaction or put an emoji in the chat. If you have started working towards a future goal, maybe a resolution, maybe a health goal, maybe a financial goal, only to stop when faced with challenges. Yep. There's at least a few of you out there who are like me. I'm going to share that I started a health goal. This is years ago. I was doing really well and I had been at it for 3 months. And then my mom was diagnosed with cancer. She's fine now and she's doing great, but it really rocked my world at the time. And everything I had started just kind of went out the window. So we all have these things that we face. Whether they're stresses, fires, events. I have a big event I need to go to, or a series of events. Maybe you're traveling for work. All of these things come along and they can kind of conspire to not set us up for success. And so creating that identity statement is really important first step in all of this. Okay, so we're going to go back to our action planning. And I'm going to ask you to create an identity statement or statements, you can do more than one, of a person who's already succeeded in achieving your goal or vision. For example, I am a non-smoker. I am a healthy person. I have enough money for retirement. What is that identity statement? So in my example, I'm choosing an identity statements around drinking water. So for personally, I'm going to say I'm a healthy person who drinks 100 ounces of water a day. I have a challenge with getting enough water in. I'm simply not thirsty. It's not that I don't like water. I just don't get thirsty and I don't think about it and I don't remember to do it. Professionally, my identity statement is I'm an expert communicator. So let me know in chat. I'm going to give you a minute or two to work on your identity statement. Sorry. Let me know in the chat when you're done with your identity statements. All right, I'm seeing a lot of identity statements coming through the chat. You've got the rhythm of this. I just want to point out this one. I'm an adept tractor operator. I love this goal. My grandfather used to have a farm, and getting to ride on the tractor with him was always a highlight. So, yes, I'm an active and healthy person. I motivate and facilitate successful teams. I have a good balance in my life and practice self care. These are great identity statements. Thank you so much for sharing them for all of those of you who did. I'm going to go ahead and move on. Oh, we already did that. So we can move on even more. Okay. So after we've created our identity, we need to achieve small wins. Even when we know we should start small, it's easy to start too big. When we dream about making a change, excitement inevitably takes over and we end up trying to do too much too soon. Another often overlooked but very powerful mechanism in sustaining change and building habits that support your identity is to create these small wins. So let's dig into what habits are. Habits are mental shortcuts your mind takes. If we had to continuously and consciously decide each new action we take, we would be exhausted and have no capacity to learn, grow, change, or problem solve. For self-preservation, our brains are designed to create habits, actions we take automatically without thinking. To alleviate work on our brain, to alleviate the work that our brain has to do and allow space to learn, problems, and problem solve. So, for example, when I was learning to drive, I had to think about every action I took, from turning on my blinker to turning my head before I changed lanes. And in one of my test drives with my mother, she was trying to have a conversation with me. And she was frustrated when I couldn't drive and talk to her at the same time. She had forgotten that the most of driving for her was done from habit. She had the capacity to have a conversation with me. However, when I was learning to drive, I had no capacity to have a conversation with her. Most of driving for us is done from habit. We might be thinking about where we're going and where we're driving to, but we're not thinking about turning on our blinkers every time we make a turn or checking our blind spot before we change lanes. Those actions are done out of habit. So, what's one habit you can identify for yourself? Something you do without giving another thought about it. Go ahead and pop that into the chat. What are some of your habits that are in place for you every day? Offering to help others, coffee, yes, a lot of coffee. Drinking 30 ounces of water every morning before I have coffee. Good for you. That's inspiring to me. Flossing every night, brushing your teeth. It doesn't matter how bad I feel at night. It doesn't matter how sick I am. I get my teeth brushed. I just can't not do it. Date with the treadmill, brushing after eating anything. These are great habits. So while we can understand the power of habits, starting new habits and stopping old habits that are not helping us is very hard to do. One effective way to counteract this challenge is to use the 2-minute rule, which states when you start a new habit, it should take you no more than 2 minutes to accomplish. In the book Atomic Habits, James Clear gives the example of a man who wanted to start a habit of going to work out at the gym every day. To begin with, to build this habit, he put on his shoes and drove to the gym. Then he would drive home without ever going into the gym. The simple act of building the routine of putting on his shoes every day at the same time and driving to the gym began the process of building this new habit for him. So we're going to go back to your worksheet. We're going to go back to your action planning. What is one action you can take, or one part of a larger action you can take that is no more than 2 minutes that will move you towards your vision? So in my example, my small win, my 1 2-minute action personally is to drink one more glass of water each day. And professionally, it was to send a communication about changes or updates every day. So go ahead and take a minute to complete your small win, your 1 2-minute habit, and let me know in the chat when you're done, and we'll move on. All right, we've got a lot of good ones coming into the chat. I love this one, checking the label to know the ingredients on the food product and to look at the fabric label before buying the food product. My daughter, my oldest daughter, had an egg allergy for a while, and I had to read every single label. It was a habit I had to build to be able to make sure that I was protecting her. Yes. Buy small fruits to replace chips. Great. Um, Protect time on the calendar to focus on your priorities. Yes, I live by my Outlook calendar, so it's an easy 2-minute thing to do. Set a daily motivation, send a daily motivation to someone on my team. And in fact, that was somewhat similar to a goal I used to have when I was supervising. I wanted to make sure that I was thanking somebody every day for something. And I actually set an Outlook reminder so that I would remember to do that at the end of the day. These are great. Turn off the TV at 8:30 p.m. 2 minutes of chair yoga. That's a great one. Starting with that 2 minutes of chair yoga. Awesome. Okay. These were wonderful. Thank you again for sharing. And we'll go ahead and we'll move on to the next part. So, one quote that I love is every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. It really highlights how our actions either build our new identity or keep us the same. All big things come from small beginnings. The seed of every habit is a single tiny decision. But as that decision is repeated, a habit sprouts and grows stronger. Roots entrench themselves and branches grow. The task of breaking a bad habit is like uprooting a powerful oak tree within us. And the task of building a good habit is like cultivating a delicate flower one day at a time. So, to help us sustain our new habits, there are 4 laws of behavior change. The first is to make it obvious. The second is to make it attractive. The third is to make it easy. And the fourth is to make it satisfying. Next in this presentation, we're going to work on incorporating these behavior change laws into your new habit. Okay. So remember when I said your vision statement didn't need to be perfect? Neither does the work you do next. Don't let great be the enemy of good. The most important thing you can actually do is just make it happen, just begin. So once you begin, you can then make the next choice and the next choice. So I love this quote too. You only need to know the direction, not the destination. The direction is enough to make that next choice. So let's make our habit obvious. The 2 most common cues for making it obvious are time and location. I don't know how many of you have kind of seen over the past few years where a lot of the information coming out around voting is to pick a time and a date and a location that you're going to go vote. Like they're very deliberate about trying to get you to make a plan to vote. And that's because this is a really big piece of sustaining and following through on our habits. Pairing a new habit with a specific time and location creates an implementation intention that doesn't rely on your own motivation or memory to do it. Additionally, stacking your new habit with an existing old habit helps create the time and space for your intention. So, for example, personally, my intention could look like this. I will drink 1 glass of water, that's the behavior, every morning, that's the time, while at home, that's the location. And professionally, it would look like I will send 1 email with updates or changes, which is the behavior, at the end of every workday, and that's the time and location. So my habit stack could look like this. After I hit brew on my Keurig for my morning coffee, I will drink 1 glass of water. Drinking coffee is a habit. I'm stacking my water habit to my coffee habit. Professionally, as I review my schedule for the next day, something I always do, what's going to happen tomorrow, when does my first meeting start, I will also review what changes or updates have happened today. So back to your action planning, let's create 1 implementation intention and habit stack. So these are my examples. So go ahead and work on this piece of your action planning and let me know in the chat when you're done. It looks like we're starting to get some posts in the chat here. I will walk 250 steps at the top of each hour wherever I am. I love that. An easy amount of steps to get done in 2 hours. 2 minutes, excuse me. I will read one chapter of a book with my morning coffee. I love that. I will pull the stats while I drink my morning tea on last Monday of the month. Great. And then this one, I will send a motivational message to a team member every workday afternoon when I return from lunch. I like that. Stacking that with coming back from lunch. After taking my lunch break, I will log into Smartsheet University. Maybe I should do that one with you. I could learn a lot more about Smartsheet than I have, that's for sure. All right. These are great intentions and habit stacks. I have to tell you that the habit stack of drinking water while I press brew on my Keurig for my cup of coffee was critical to me completing that habit. So finding that habit stack and making sure that you have that intention with the location and the time and the when, and then that cue with the other habit to make sure that you don't forget doing it. Really important work. All right. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. So, as someone whose job it is to create systems, I love this quote. The purpose of setting goals is to win the game. The purpose of developing systems is to continue playing the game. With your work today, you are creating a system that will allow you to continue your progress. So the second law of behavior change is to make it attractive. The more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become habit forming. Habits are a dopamine-driven feedback loop. When dopamine rises, so does our motivation to act. It is the anticipation of the reward, not actually the reward itself, that drives the fulfillment of your habit and gets you to take action. The greater the anticipation, the greater the dopamine spike. Therefore, temptation bundling is one way to make your habits more attractive. The strategy is to pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do. So this is true in reverse as well. When scientists analyze people who appear to have tremendous self-control, it turns out those individuals aren't all that different from those who are struggling. Instead, disciplined people are better at structuring their lives in a way that doesn't require heroic willpower and self-control. In other words, they spend less time in tempting situations. Another neuroscience hack is to bundle your habit with a temptation. So habit stacking plus temptation bundling might look like this. For my example, or after I current habit, I will habit that I need. After habit that I need, I will habit that I want. So here are my examples. So after I make coffee, I will drink water. And then after I drink water, I will drink coffee. Coffee is what I want. Professionally, after I prepare for the day, I will send out an email with changes and updates from today. And then temptation bundling, after I send out my email with changes and updates, I will enjoy Lifesaver and end my work day. So now it's time for you to do action planning. Go ahead and go back to your worksheet and create a temptation bundle for your new habit. Let me know in the chat when you're done. Not yet, Narissa. It's getting close, though. All right. I can see that this one is a little bit more challenging. I like this uh, temptation bundling. After I work out, I will have a yummy chocolate or strawberry protein milkshake, something that's still healthy, but something that you enjoy. Um, so temptation bundling, it doesn't have to be necessarily even related to the habit you're trying to build. You're trying to kind of create something that helps keep you motivated to do this habit. So think outside of the box. It could be any habit. Maybe you work out and you watch 15 minutes of the news or something like that. So just another habit that you have, try to bundle this other habit with it. After I move my body, I will have my second cup of coffee. I will let myself listen to something fun or interesting while I walk. That's great. That's a great bundle. What is something that you can put that you enjoy doing, or a habit that you otherwise have with this new habit you're trying to build? Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. So, success is the product of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformations. That said, it doesn't matter how successful or unsuccessful you are right now. What matters is whether your habits are putting you on a path to success. You should be more concerned with your current trajectory than with your current results. So, let's talk about making it easy, the law of least effort. Human behavior follows the law of least effort. We will naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. Therefore, creating an environment where doing the right thing is as easy as possible will reduce the friction associated with good behaviors. When friction is low, habits are easy. Increase the friction associated with bad behaviors. When friction is high, habits are difficult. So it's important to prime your environment to make your future actions easier. So far, myself, I've primed my environment by having my Brita pitcher of water on the counter right next to my coffee pot. And for my professional goal, I will set an Outlook reminder to send the email about changes and updates. So, what is one thing you can do to prime your environment? You're either going to add something there as a visual cue, something that primes your environment and makes it easier, or you can take something out of your environment to make the bad habit harder. So, fitness goals could be around shoes, workout clothes, equipment that doesn't become the laundry stock. Um, Financial goals could be around just making it easier, putting those apps on your phone, and or making sure that you take 1 to 2 days before you purchase anything, just to make sure you still want it. So think about those things that you can do that will make your habit easier or make a bad habit harder. And when you're done, go ahead and pop in the chat. So we have some great ways to make our habits easier in the chat. A louder alarm. I also saw putting the alarm outside of the door. Scheduling lunchtime on your work calendar. Yes, it's scheduled on mine too, in part because I didn't want people scheduling meetings over the lunch hour. Um, I can add ideas for motivational messages to a document so I don't have to think of them on the spot and they'll be ready to go. I love that. Wearing my workout clothes to bed. That's awesome. So these are all great ways to make your habits easier. This was an easier question. I know we can all kind of see what we need to do to prime our environment for success. All right. So when making small improvements, it can be hard to see your progress. But those small improvements compounded over time achieve big results in the end. Time magnifies the margin between success and failure. It will multiply whatever you feed it. Good habits make time your ally. Bad habits make time your enemy. So the next hack to make your habits satisfying, and this, Narissa, is when I'd like you to put the TED Talk in the chat. Thank you. The vital thing in getting your habit to stick is to feel successful, even if it's in a small way. The feeling of success is a signal that your habit paid off and that the work was worth the effort. Therefore, we are more likely to repeat the behavior when the experience is satisfying. This is because the human brain has evolved to prioritize immediate rewards over delayed rewards. The fourth law is the capstone and embodies the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. Therefore, to get a habit to stick, you need to feel immediately successful, even if it's in a small way. The first three laws of behavior change: make it obvious, make it attractive, and make it easy, increase the odds that a behavior will be performed this time. The fourth law of behavior change, make it satisfying, increases the odds that the behavior will be repeated next time. So, sorry, I'm going to go here to my make it satisfying. And what I'm going to tell you is that in the testing phase of this presentation, when I was giving it a dry run, this was the hardest question for my beta testers to answer. And really, you're trying to find anything that lights up your reward center in your brain. And TED Talk that Narissa popped into the chat is one that I really like. It's by Sean Aker, and it's called The Happy Secret to Better Work. But what I really like about this TED Talk is that he talks about how we typically follow this formula for success, which is if I work harder, I'll be more successful. And if I'm more successful, then I'll be happier. And the problem is that this is scientifically broken and backwards for two reasons. Every time your brain has a success, you just change the, and every time your brain has a success and you change the goalpost of what success looks like. For example, you got good grades, now you have to get better grades. Or you got into a good school after, and then you need to get into a better one. Or you got a good job, now you have to get a better job. You hit your sales target, now you have to do a better job of hitting it. And if we always put happiness on the opposite side of success, your brain never gets there. We get, when you push happiness, what he calls over the cognitive horizon, and we do this as a society. This is very typical behavior. We think that we have to be successful to be happy. So we need to find a way of becoming positive in the present. Then our brain works even more successfully as we're able to work harder, faster, and more intelligently. So because dopamine floods into your nervous system when you're positive, there are two functions that comes out of that. It makes you happier, but it also turns on all the learning centers in your brain, allowing you to adapt to the world in a different way. So he was kind of talking about work success and work productivity, but the same thing applies here. And of course, he says it much better than I do. But we have to get that dopamine hit in our brain. We have to feel like we're doing something good, something valuable, and that we've succeeded in the moment so that we continue to develop that habit. So for answering this question, small celebrations work really well here. High five your partner. Take a victory lap around your kitchen island. Do a happy dance. Give yourself a pat on the back and thank yourself. Write it down in your gratitude journal. I am so grateful that I got up and worked out today. Celebrate your small win. Don't delay your gratification until you've achieved your goal. So, what I want you to do is going back to your worksheet in terms of making it satisfied. What is your reward for your new habit? And again, you're looking for something that's going to kind of light up your dopamine. Here, and this was an old example, I will play Wordle after I drink my additional glass of water. So it turns out that actually I have done this habit for the last 2 years since I originally gave this presentation. Wordle never really played a part of it. That was my intention. But what did happen was when I started drinking water first thing in the morning, I became thirsty first thing in the morning. So now I wake up thirsty and drinking water, the satisfaction is quenching my thirst. Additionally, I think I've created this Pavlovian response that when I hear my Keurig brewing, I'm actually thirsty. I actually want to drink water. So I had said played Wordle, but I actually think now, after that TED Talk and after some additional learning that I had, that I think this is really about what can you do to celebrate that you accomplish this habit. So I put here also professionally, I will seek feedback on my communication. I love to hear feedback, especially if people are saying, thank you for that communication. That really helped. I feel more informed now. That's going to be my reward. And that's going to be my dopamine hit to continue to do it. So take just a couple minutes here. Think about how you can reward your new habit, how you can give yourself that dopamine hit and make yourself feel successful in the moment and not only after you've achieved your goal. All right. You might need to take a little bit more time on this after the presentation, and that is just fine. I know this is a little bit more challenging part. We do have some great answers here in the chat. Every day I've done deliberate movement at whatever level I can, I get to add a piece of a small Lego set to a jar. And when it's all in the jar, I get to put together and buy a new Lego set. What I like about this is that it's that visual representation of watching your progress. And when you think about making it satisfying, I think it too in terms of a lean Kanban board. We put our tasks over here, we move it through the flow, and it's really satisfying to put that in the done column. And it's really satisfying to see all of the stuff that you did. And oftentimes, these are small tasks that are a part of a bigger one. This is the first thing that has to be done before I can start on the next thing. And watching it go through and sticking it on done. Satisfying. It might be crossing off something on a to-do list. But seeing that visual progress, that's really powerful. So thank you for sharing that. I will get to do a yoga pose. Maybe not everybody's reward, but for Anita, it lights her dopamine centers is what she wants to be able to do as a reward for getting her new habit taken care of that day. After I work out in the morning, I will put my hands on my heart and have a big smile on my face while I tell myself how awesome I was for working out. A lot of neuroscience around smiling and what that does for our whole demeanor and behavior. That's a great one. Creating smart sheets and sharing them with my coworkers would be satisfying for me. Yeah, when somebody says, hey, that really helped, or, that made my life easier. Good job on that. That lights up those reward centers. It's just really making sure that we're celebrating those individual small wins, and we're not pushing that celebration until your entire goal is achieved. You've got to celebrate along the way. That's the neuroscience, that's the dopamine that's going to get you to come back and do it over and over again. All right. Thank you for those who shared. I appreciate that. So this is my all-time favorite quote from James Clear. I have it on Post-it notes at work, at home, and it nicely sums up what we've gone over. It's not enough to have goals or a vision. You need to create the systems that will allow you to take the right actions again and again. Rome wasn't built in a day, but they were laying bricks every hour. So remember, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. You have to build those systems to achieve those big goals and to be able to play the game at a bigger level. So these tools are really powerful, not only because they influence how we engage with the world, but also because we rarely do it. Most people live in a world others have created for them, but you can take many actions to increase your success. These tools allow you to take back control and become the architect of your life. It allows you to be the designer of your world and not just merely a consumer of it. So we talk about these 2-minute habits. We talked about these 4 behavior change laws. Sometimes it doesn't need all 4. So I just want to point that out. Sometimes it's enough just to habit stack. Sometimes it's enough just to do the temptation bundling. So we went over all 4, but every single habit might not need all 4. For me, with the Keurig and the brewing, it was really about habit stacking that with the brewing of the Keurig. It was less about the temptation bundling and making it satisfying. So sometimes you don't need all 4, but definitely think about how you can put as many of these into place when you are creating a new habit as possible. It will increase your odds of success. And don't forget to assume the identity of the person that you want to become. I walk into a room now. I just had a meeting after work with a group that I'm involved in, and there was a big jug of water there. And I just said to myself, I am a person who drinks water. I'm going to go over and I'm going to get the water. When I see water, I'm going to drink the water because I'm a person who drinks water. So it has helped. I am definitely drinking more water. So that is the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Jeannie. That's awesome. All right, it is being recorded. It will be available within a week. Typically, we hope to have that blast done and sent out to you. And so we like to have these recordings posted on our website. And then the blast will include links to guide you there to be able to open it up and watch or share with someone that you know might have missed it. Does anyone have any questions for Jeannie? We had a lot of good engagement in the chat. And I'm not sure if anybody had any questions, or maybe you really got something out of this, but you might have a question on how you might be able to apply it or anything. If you have a question, you could pop it in chat, or you can come off mic and let us know. If you don't have a question, did you take anything away from it? What was your takeaway? Awesome. Thank you. Looking at those chats. Yeah, I love presentations like this. Thank you, Jeannie, for bringing this to us. Personally, I love presentations that apply not only professionally, but also personally. How often do we hear we need to, get better at self-care? And sometimes these habits, we really need to build on consistency with these habits in order to get good at self-care. Because I know, like as you were doing this, I'm thinking, I don't take enough breaks. I don't know about anybody else, but when we work from home, because I'm like in the comfort of my own office in the house, I just don't think to get up often. So I don't walk around and take enough breaks. And so that's a part of habit building. Yeah, excited to look through the resources, go back and use the action plan as often as you need to for different things. Let's see. Oh, looks like there is a question. Scroll up a bit. Good question, Denise. Yeah, we're going to get direction soon on how results is going to look in the near future. We are still in office. And so, as you might have heard in one of our past presentations when we've kind of discussed results, we've always kind of been in office. I can't remember the year that it started, but it's gone in different iterations with each governor. So with Inslee, we're Results Washington. Back with Gregoire, we were JMAP. So there's always been some sort of performance management office, and we're still going to be in office, just not sure exactly what we'll be doing, but thank you for that question. Is there anything else that I missed? And again, please come off mic if I'm not fast enough. I love the step-by-step and practical application. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, Jeannie, this is so helpful to me. As you know, this is if you have a small business on the side or a venture or a hobby on the side and you don't get enough time to do it because after work you're just mentally drained, this really helps make you put that time into those other side ventures that you're trying to do. So I know this helps me. I paint on the side, and um, yeah, sometimes it just is hard to go from work to creativity. And so this is really good to use. Okay. Nobody has any questions. What about projects? Is anybody working on any good projects that you kind of want to share with the group, or maybe pick the brains of the folks on the group? We've got so much talent in this room.